Welcome to another episode of the My SBA Loan Pro podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Smith. Today's guest comes to us from the north side of Chicago and now serves entrepreneurs and high net worth clients as a part of Citizens Private Bank right here in San Diego. Roy has earned a strong reputation as one of the region's most reliable and relationship-driven bankers. He's contributed to top-performing teams at both Wells Fargo and First Republic Bank. He continues that excellence today. What sets Roy apart is his holistic approach to banking, an approach that resonates deeply with business owners who want steady, strategic access to capital. Whether it's scaling with working capital, purchasing the building their company operates from, or deploying excess cash flow into a growing portfolio of investment properties, Roy brings clarity and confidence to every transaction. With that, let's dive into today's conversation and hear directly from Roy about how he partners with business owners to build long-term financial stability and growth.
What we do at Citizens Private Bank is we're really attached to the client. So anyone that I work with who chooses to work with me and our team, we stay with that client for life. And we holistically help them in terms of business and personal. That's a little bit of the difference to us. So the private banking, the private part of it really is more representative of the platform we're offering. Mm-hmm. We're giving them personalized services that really are a long-term relational situation for us.
Roy, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Ryan, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
I'm really excited to have you here.
For sure.
The man, the myth, the legend, Roy Chiovari. So there's some people that we know where when you say their name, you have to say both names.
Okay.
And we're sitting down with Roy Chiovari, private banker extraordinaire. We're going to learn about your background, how you were trained. You're going to talk to us about the banks that you've been at and how they prepared you for your current role, what you're doing now, and why a business owner graduates, why they want to graduate to work with someone like you.
Sure. Yeah, so I grew up in Chicago, first person in my family to go to college, actually. Kind of got thrown into banking in a roundabout way. Never thought as a young guy I'd want to be in banking, to be honest. It's kind of opposite of my style in a way. But was fortunate enough to catch on at a bank in Chicago and actually started in treasury management. Really, I started as an intern, actually. I kind of worked in, what was the movie? Pursuit of Happiness. I kind of related to that.
I love that movie. Right? I love it.
I feel like it was that in a way where, you were basically interning, trying to get into the group. So I did that for a summer and was able to get into the treasury management group, kind of an entry-level role. And it was good. I learned a lot about it, learned basically corporate treasury management. So that was my original kind of entree into banking. From there, I was always, dealing with businesses and things like that on these treasury management calls. They'd bring me in, the relationship manager type guys would bring me out to see their clients. And basically, I'd meet them at the appointment. They'd be in the office with the business owner already. And I would come in and they're like, hey, this is Roy. He's the treasury management associate guy and he's going to help you. And I would go in there to these appointments and basically say, okay, do our thing, talk about all the business and how we could help them and such. But the biggest thing I noticed about it was when I was meeting with these business owners, the person, the RM, the relationship manager type guy who invited me was like really tight with the business owner. Mm-hmm. And then I'm coming in out of left field as just this like random person from the bank who is being invited to the meeting. Mm-hmm. And in time I said, that's interesting. That's kind of a different dynamic. I don't have that. I'm not really tight with any of these customers other than I help them out and then I kind of disappear into the sunset, once they don't need help, hopefully. So my manager at the time, Irene, who was really great in my career and gave me my first chance. So I always appreciate her. But I said to her, Irene, I'm going on these appointments. I think I should be in that relationship manager role. How do I do that?
I love it. There you go.
And she said, oh, Roy, I don't know. She's like, you might be okay at it, but you have to know credit and underwriting and you don't know that. And I said, that's true. So, she said, but what I'll do is I know the person at the bank who basically is in charge of that program, and I'll make a call and get you an introduction.
When was this?
This is in the late 90s.
Late 90s.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to hear about this.
Right. So late 90s, I guess it was. Maybe it was early 2000s. Maybe I take it back. Early 2000s, I'll say. And so Irene plugs me into the person who's in charge of this credit training program. And our bank at the time had a really great program, which has kind of gone away in the industry, unfortunately. You see it with all the guys you work with, but it seems like the industries went very salesy and very less knowledge.
Yeah. Which coincidentally, I don't ever work with those salesy guys. I work with the ones that are already or have been underwriters. Right. They have credit training.
Absolutely. So basically this position, which I was lucky enough to get into, and most of the people in my credit training, they took about 30 people a year. Most of these people were recruited out of college to be invited to this training, of which I somehow was able to get my foot in the door, luckily. Pulled all your college transcripts, made sure they thought you could, hang in terms of what they were going to throw at you. Basically taught us intermediate accounting for 12 hours a day, gave us a test every day.
I love it.
For many months. Really smart people in the group, great trainers, A+ all around. Everyone involved was really good. And it was hard in the beginning because it wasn't my background really. So I was trying to keep up with what was going on and, keep my head above water. And, some of the people would say, oh, this is easy because they're accounting majors, right? I took business. I have a, international business degree, but it wasn't, college stuff is different than actually the real world, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So basically was able to went through all the accounting there. Luckily passed, was invited to go into the credit underwriting training pool, where basically you were going to underwrite middle market credits for businesses. And at the same time, you would basically do rotations within the bank, and you're quasi interviewing for a job while they're kind of feeling you out and using you to kind of help do some of their underwriting things. So at the time, again, didn't know where that would lead, but in turn, that was one of the best things that luckily happened to me, because that knowledge and background I really gained from back home in Chicago was able to be used when I came out to California.
How'd that happen?
Funny story, actually. So I lived downtown in Chicago, and
which I love Chicago, by the way.
Right.
I love it. I was just
You're
there.
from Wisconsin.
I was just there. I much prefer Chicago over Milwaukee, by the way. Chicago's beautiful.
Right. I'm waiting for the bus, actually, as young people who live downtown in Chicago do when you're making, very little money and working hard. So I'm waiting for the bus in a snowstorm. And actually, my girlfriend at the time, now wife, was also waiting for the bus. And we're waiting outside. And she's from California, so not a cold weather person. We're waiting for the bus in a snowstorm, and a cab flies by and splashes her with snow. And she looks at me and goes, "We're moving back to California." So literally that's how it happened, of course, right?
Hey, get that guy's number.
Right. So we basically, from there, even in my apartment I was renting in Chicago, I applied online to banks I had heard of in California, and got connected with Wells Fargo Bank. So I worked there for many, many years in business banking. Great experience, worked with a lot of really good people. And there I met a person who really taught me kind of the practical matters of credit, how it's really done, right? You have the book knowledge, but he kind of imparted the actual, this is how it's really done knowledge. But I think from, even though being a young person with no experience, I know he had some respect for my training, which was, I think in his mind, good training. And, he could kind of speak the lingo with me, although I had zero practical deals I had done myself. So I worked there actually for 17 years in business banking, working on all kinds of loans. The kind of great part about that was we worked on really all different industries, all different product types. We would do SBA, we would do owner-occupied deals, we would do lines of credit, C&I, investor real estate, hotels, you name it. Across the board, really good sampling of all different kinds of businesses and credits, and good exposure to a lot of industries.
Yeah. So the way that we met is when I became a broker back in 2019.
Okay.
I was fortunate enough to meet a man named Craig Francis, who, in my opinion, is the greatest of all time, the GOAT of SBA loan brokering, Francis Financial. He probably won't like that I am actually saying his name on a podcast. That's the way he is.
Right.
But when he was mentoring me, he said, "Ryan, you need to have Wells Fargo in your quiver, and there's only one guy you need to know there, and that is not Roy. It's Roy Chiovari. You got to use both names. Roy Chiovari. He said, you call Roy, tell him I sent you, and he'll take care of you. And we did deals.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
We did deals.
Yeah. So it was a great experience working there, and really enjoyed my time. Worked with a lot of great people, especially my credit approver, who really taught me the business. And he was, I would say, I'd say there's a lot of different types of credit approvers. Blanket generalization is many of them in the world are not really like approachable type people. He was completely the opposite. He was really a university professor in the body of a credit approver type guy, right? Really great teacher, very patient, very always saying, hey, come in, let me explain to you. And I spent, I don't even know, hours and hours and hours a day. When I was first new, I sat outside a cube and outside of his office, and different people in my office would go in and present their deals. And I'd always like listen in and say, oh man, that was not good. Right. So you kind of get some ideas on, how to talk to that kind of person too.
Yeah. That's an art, talking to decision makers within a bank.
Right.
I mean, that can, and we're going to talk about this, but that can make your deal go, and it can make your deal stop.
Sure.
If you don't know how to discuss the transaction with the deal approver.
Absolutely. And a lot of it's trust from their end too, right? So, the approver person generally isn't talking to the client or meeting them. They're basically going on my word or your word or whoever's presenting it. So there's a lot of trust needed to be, I think, good at the job. And what that entails is telling the truth, right? You can't ever burn those people, or you basically are done at that place.
Yeah. So talk about your transition from Wells Fargo to where you are now. You can go as detailed as you want to. And then let's talk about what you're doing now for small business owners as a private banker.
Sure. So after Wells Fargo, I worked at First Republic for a period of time. What that kind of did was, where Wells Fargo, we had really the science of lending maybe down with that type of approver. First Republic really gave me the opportunity to get in more the private banking, more the art maybe of the lending, where we looked at things. I think very good credit cultures in both places. Both had very strong credit cultures and strong situations there, but really different type of ways of looking at deals. So for me, it was really a good experience because I had kind of the regular, I would say, scientific approach down. Very high volume looking at deals. Where First Republic, we had a much different way of looking at it. We would look at the guarantors as a lot more liquidity, a little more of an art maybe than just strictly the metrics and the numbers. So
you were transitioning there from being transactional to now being more of a private banker.
Absolutely.
More like the quarterback.
That's right. Yeah. So there basically, we would work with clients and doing similar types of deals were able to be done. I would say even at most banks, probably, 50% of the deals at both places would have been a for sure yes, right? And then 25% would have been no at both places. And then that other 25 would be like, it kind of depends, maybe it's a better fit here or there. And and you see that in your business, I think too. There's always a place for almost any deal, really. You just have to get to the place that appreciates that deal and has the appetite for it. But obviously First Republic was a really good experience for me. It gave me an opportunity to kind of get out of my comfort zone at Wells and get some new skills, I think, in terms of that. And really, we were more client focused in terms of ongoing relationship there. And then now after First Republic, unfortunately went down, we've transitioned to Citizens Private Bank is where I'm working now. So Citizens Private Bank is part of Citizens, which is a 200-year-old bank out of the East Coast. About 2 years ago, they launched our private banking group. So we have many of our old colleagues from our former institution are with us, which is great. Citizens have been very supportive of kind of the platform on how we did things before, in terms of being able to be kind of holistic with the client in order to be able to help them on really the business and the personal side. That's something we're doing there.
Yeah, I would say a very small percentage of business owners even know what a private banker does. So what I'd like you to do is talk about what is your current role as a private banker.
Right.
Distinguish the various roles that you play. And again, you're the quarterback. So if I have this need, come to Roy. If I have this need, come to Roy. So people can come to you with various needs,
Right.
and you'll quarterback that within the financial institution. So define that for us, please.
Yeah, I think most broad generalization, I think most banks are very siloed. So you have a large bank which has, 20, 50 different departments. And then the people who you might run across, business owner might be working with, they're very specific to the actual thing they can deliver to a client. So they might
program, like the loan program,
Absolutely.
the treasury management program, that type of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. So they might say, hey, they might be a business banker that can work with company. They might be in the branch. They're helping very small mom and pop businesses, right? Or they might be working in a small business group that does companies sales 1 to 5 million. But if you're 6 million, they can't help you. You have to go to this other group.
And then you have to graduate, and you could build a relationship with someone. And then just because your top line revenue grows, now you're working with someone else. And you're like, why am I working with that person now?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think that, maybe for good reason in a lot of places, they have it very siloed, where if you need a certain revenue size, you graduate to the next group, and you maybe don't want to graduate to the next group, right? You might love Ryan and you've worked with him for 10 years and you're happy. You want to just keep it rolling. So really, what we do at Citizens Private Bank is we're really attached to the client. So anyone that I work with who, chooses to work with me and our team, we stay with that client for life. So, and we holistically help them in terms of business and personal. That's a little bit of the difference to us. So the private banking, the private part of it really is more, to me, representative of the platform we're offering. We're giving them personalized services that really are a long-term relational situation for us.
Got it. And talk about that business owner. What can they come to you for?
Yeah. So, we have a full service offering in terms of, we do all commercial lending. So we can do, I have business owners who would be, let's say you're a professional service firm, right? You're a doctor and you own a practice, and we would help you with all your day-to-day banking, right? So on the banking side, I think a lot of clients are thinking of, hey, I'm going to talk to a bank when I need lending, and maybe that's like an impetus to change banks. To me, really, it seems to me that in our industry, the clients sometimes are accepting mediocrity from the bank.
Because they don't know. They don't know Roy Chiovari exists.
Right. I think our whole team really delivers amazing service. And sometimes the hardest thing is when we meet with someone new who doesn't know us is to kind of give them the knowledge that there's a better option out there. There's something exists that you maybe don't know exists. You're thinking, hey, all the banks will say, we want you to move your deposits, part of the deal, right? That's normal, right? But ours is, even if you don't want a loan, you should be talking to us about moving your deposits. And I think if you give us the chance to explain what we do, you'll say, this is really good. I'm interested in this.
Yeah. So I've been a client of yours. And when I open the accounts, so I open business accounts, I open personal accounts, I open accounts for my children, and I never had to go to the bank.
Right.
Now, at that point in time, I liked going to your bank locations because they were in beautiful locations, and a lot of times it involved seeing the ocean. Yeah. But I didn't have to go.
Right.
That was amazing.
Yeah, and we still have a lot. I would say that same delivery method that we had before is still definitely in play with us. So, for example, our business owners are busy. They don't want to be told, hey, you have to drive into the branch to do a wire to do something, right? We have that personal relationship with them where we know them, they know us, and we give them the tools to effectively do everything they need remotely. So a lot of times when I'm meeting with our clients, really it's more of a, I guess, check-in versus they need to meet with me. It's more they want to meet with our team just to keep in touch. But we have the ability to help them do anything they need effectively remotely, where even if you were if you were next door to me, you wouldn't even really need to come in. Example, we have, every bank has mobile deposit, right? You can take a picture of a check with your phone. That's no different, but we have no limits on that, right? So you could take a picture of $1 million check over your phone and you can deposit.
Yeah, I did that once. Right? No, I'm just kidding.
Right?
Hey, I had a large check though,
yeah,
and I could deposit. I'm like, man, this is like a $50,000 check. I get to deposit this? Because I know there are other banks, you'd have to call them up and they'd have to increase your limits and all this stuff.
Yeah, and we have obviously all the checks and balances in place to help the clients and make sure nothing goes awry. But Really, it is giving, our mission is to give time back to the owners. And that's really the service we're providing, giving them the ability to do what they do best. And we like to say, we try to take away the brain damage of banking for them, make it easy, cut out the red tape. We want to be really easy to work with and have them be someone who really would advocate for us. So in our business, really, unlike some other maybe places where you have a culture of, calling, or maybe you're only working with, certain people who you're really outbound reaching out to, we're really getting a lot of active referrals from our clients where, I don't need you to be an escrow to buy a building to want to talk to you. It's really, if you're a great entrepreneur, if you're a great, family office, if you're a great individual, person that is interested in kind of the relational aspect that we can provide, we want to talk to you. You don't have to have a transaction by any means. That's very low on the list of needing to be introduced to us.
Yeah. And so the reason why a lot of banks have those rules and those restrictions in place is because they're chasing quantity.
Yes.
And so they have to have those policies and procedures in place to protect not only their customers, but also the bank, right? So it goes both ways. But you're looking for quality. Right. So the individuals, there's not going to be any shenanigans, right?
Absolutely.
And it's not like you know them because you met them, shook their hand, but you know them.
Right.
Either came from a great referral source who you trust, or you've been as their banker for years and years and years.
Right.
So that's why you guys are able to be more liberal with some of those types of deposit situations, because you know who you're working with, right?
Yeah, I mean, we really get to know the owners, the founders, the clients, and it really becomes a situation where they have our cell phones. They can call us any time of day, which they do. They'll call us on the weekend. They'll reach out. They'll text us and say, someone called me. I'd say, hey, I'm in a meeting. I'll call you right back. And they're like, great. So we really try to be very, very reachable. Our team is always really trying to provide great service and really just give them an experience that we think is really unlike anyone else that's out there.
Yeah. And so I'm a business owner. So let's walk through what a business owner needs from a bank. So the first and obvious is they need a bank account.
Sure.
The next would be they need online banking. They need mobile banking. They might need a mobile check deposit scanner on their desk. They might need the ability to send ACHs. They might need the ability to send wires. Right. So that's all on the treasury management side. Then if we flip over to the liability side of the balance sheet, they may need a line of credit. They may need a loan to buy equipment. They might need a loan to buy their building. And then it gets really fun when they're making a lot of money. Then they might need a loan to buy an investment property, right, or to invest in another business. So talk to us about how that business owner graduates where they get to work with you.
Right. I mean, really, you kind of hit it on the head with all those things that hopefully all these successful businesses, they're going to need all of those things at one point.
Yeah.
Really, when they decide, hopefully, to make a change to work with any bank, hopefully it's not like a 1 or 2 or 5 year decision. It's really a long-term decision for them. And from our perspective, we're able to help them through that whole, I guess, client life cycle, from being maybe even a new business to starting to make a lot of money. And then now they're starting to deploy the money. Hopefully they'll have a liquidity event and sell the business someday. And really our team stays with them throughout that whole life cycle. And we can help in all those fashions where we're not needing to redirect them internally to someone else to help with whatever's on, next in line in their journey. We can do it all in-house there. And you mentioned some of those treasury management things too. So a little different than us too. Even our online banking people, right? They're in our office physically. So the clients have our online banking team's cell phone number and they can reach out to them directly. So they're never really, we probably have an 800 number that is able to be disseminated, but I don't even know what it is, to be honest, because we don't really need them to have it. They're calling us. Our team's always readily available. And we try to have, we try to really show them amazing customer service where they see an extreme difference compared to what they're used to. Our team's hyper responsive and really, really just great people and always hustling and trying to really wow the customers.
Illustrate for us your client, whether that's in a specific industry or maybe that's a broad industry, meaning you service people across many industries. Illustrate for us, what does your client look like?
Yeah, I think depending who it is in the, within Citizens Private Bank, there's some different, niches, I guess, but it wasn't anything that it had to be. It was just people over their career, kind of where they came from, tend to focus in one area or the other. Mine is very, very specific to entrepreneurs. I work with mostly business owners, is kind of my niche. Commercial real estate owners for sure. So people who are entrepreneurs, commercial real estate owners. I think with, where we can be able to help them is really, again, the single point of contact where we're able to help them in anything they need, personal or business.
So are they doctors, dentists, chiropractors, orthodontists, manufacturers, distributors? Are they all of those? Have you built a particular specialty inside of one industry vertical?
I wouldn't say one. I work with a lot of professional services. So doctors, lawyers, financial type businesses, a lot of that. Definitely commercial real estate.
Wealth advisors, that you're including wealth advisors.
Yeah. Like RIAs we could even work with. So those type of businesses we work with. Definitely commercial real estate is a big one. But really a lot of these businesses I think are really niche industries you'll find too, where, I think again, some banks might say, hey, you can only work with medical and you're just going to do that. To me, really, it's more about if you're a successful business owner, then you're someone we want to be in front of and we want to get to know you. The revenues, the top line revenues of your company to me isn't really relevant. It's more the net profit is probably more what would tie them together. Got
it. So I'm envisioning a lawyer driving down the road, let's say Pacific Coast Highway, in his Tesla Model X, and a buddy calls him and says, hey, we have an opportunity to buy a building. There's 3 of us going in. We'd like you to join.
Right.
We need a loan. If that person is with, let's just either call it no name big bank or no name community bank, and they don't know who they bank with,
right?
Their next step is, okay, let me try to figure this out. But if they bank with you, what's their next step?
Really, it's pretty straightforward from us. I mean, most of our clients, even as their taxes are done, I'm always usually just asking them preemptively, hey, send me all your tax returns, even if you don't have a request. Because when something pops up, I'm not going to say, here's what I need. I already have it. And then I can operate really quickly for them. Really, our credit process is very simple. I work on, basically on the underwriting side as well. I'm involved in start to finish on any loans we do. And that can be, across the board, commercial real estate. And then really I just set up a meeting quickly with our credit approver who does it. Usually in about a 30-minute call, him and I go through it along with our credit analyst team and go through it and say, here's what we're going to do. These are the terms. We would issue them a term sheet. And when we do that, we're fully expecting to deliver on exactly what we said. So it's very flat in terms of the credit process, very, I think, easy for the clients to work with. And really there's no one outside of the people they hopefully know and love that are involved in the deal.
So his next move is he's like, hey, I'm going to get off the phone and I'm going to call my guy because he's got a guy.
Right.
And that's you. I'm going to call Roy Chiovari. Okay. So he gets on the phone. He doesn't hold his phone here in California. That would be illegal. But he uses Bluetooth and he says, hey, Roy, my friend called. We have an opportunity. And you say, great. Well, you know what? Here's the thing. I already have your financials, your PFS, personal financial statement, your schedule of real estate. I have your tax returns. Put me in touch with your other partners. I'll collect the same information from them. And then I'm going to be the one who does the pre-flight. You're going to do the pre-screen. Correct?
Yes.
And when you do the pre-screen, you're going to be able to call them back and say, hey, I've pulled everything apart, put it back together, and I think we have a deal here.
Right.
And then the next step would be to go to the credit approver, get on the phone. But what I love about that is speed to market and certainty to close are so crucial. And if you don't know who you're going through, or I get this a lot on my side, where people will call me and, it's great if they haven't worked with a bank, but a lot of times they've worked with a bank. And they'll say, okay, Ryan, what's the process? And I'll say, well, you send me what I need. Oh, I've got a whole folder. Okay, cool. So I make it really easy. and I'll complete the analysis and I'll get back to you in 1 day, maybe 2.
Right.
And they're like, how do you do that?
Right.
These banks are getting back to me in 3 to 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that tells me that they're just shotgunning the banks are going to, and they don't know what kind of bank it is. They don't know if they're good. But what a lot of the banks do when you don't have a relationship is they collect the package and then they just send it off somewhere, and it sits until someone picks it up. So I always tell people, your underwriting doesn't take 3 weeks.
That's right.
It takes 3 days, but it sits there for 2 weeks and 4 days, and then they underwrite it in 3 days. And so that's what I'm able to do as a broker. But when someone banks with you, I love that they can just call you, collect the information, and then you're able to turn around a response. Let's call it a response. It's not an approval, but it's a response very quickly so that they know, hey, you know what? We have a deal.
Yeah. And like you said, when we first started is, most people the clients are going to run into in the world have good intentions, right? They want to approve the loan and move forward, and they have, they're excited. Someone's talking to them.
Yeah.
But it goes back to the training, right? Are they capable of quickly looking at something and saying, we're going to do this, and they're right 100% of the time?
Yeah, no.
Right? Or are they just saying, looks great, but they don't really even know what they're saying? So I think the great bankers are the ability to obviously generate business. You have to find clients and hopefully be someone they want to work with.
You're not cold calling, right, Roy?
No,
not
anymore.
You don't need to cold call. That's right. People are cold calling you for, hey, will you be my banker?
Yeah, I mean, it's fortunate because I think once the clients hopefully see what we do, it kind of is a snowball effect where they, they're at a cocktail party and, they'll talk to their buddy and they'll say, hey, like you said, XYZ bank is killing me. And they'll say, hey, call Roy and their team. They're great. They're going to take great care of you. And I'll get, texts or emails or calls from people. And these are probably clients who a lot of people you couldn't cold call them. Even if I called them the day before, they probably wouldn't have called me back.
Exactly.
But that connection from the clients is really huge because then you're really getting an endorsement, which is, you're trusted at that point.
Yeah. There are a lot of banks that say, especially community regional banks, oh, we want your deposits. And that's okay. Yeah. But they don't give anything in return.
Right.
It's a one-sided relationship.
Right.
So I always joke to people that a lot of times it's an abusive relationship. They want everything from you, but they don't give anything back. And what I like about what your platform offers is, yes, you do require the deposits. So you're not a transactional lender.
No.
We're not going to do that just because you have a transaction to buy a building. You want to be, like you said, that holistic part of their finance team as their private banker to help them on the business side, the personal side. And then let's just face it, that translates to spouses, children, family members. So it's not just the business owner, but it's cool when my wife needed to make a call. Sometimes I was busy. Hey, so will you just call Roy's team or call Roy and it gets taken care of? And have the ability of even spouses and children. I even have my children, hey, email this person and they get a response back.
Right.
That's an awesome way to work with a bank.
Yeah. And I think too, like you mentioned, where, all the banks, ask for the deposits, but really from us, I think the reason we want it is because that's where you're going to see the difference and why we're great to work with as a private bank is, anyone can do the loan. The money's all green. Getting a loan, as long as the rate makes sense, is kind of the same most places in the world. Ours is really the reason people choose to work with us is because of the deposit platform and the ability to kind of make it easy on the client. So even though that might not be in their mind initially, once they see that, they really see a big difference and said, wow, I didn't know this was possible. How you guys do this?
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about when you're working with a business owner who owns a business and they're selling the business, how banking with you helps them through the transition of exiting.
Sure. Yeah. So I think one of the great things with Citizens now, which we didn't have before, was we have obviously a full service commercial bank. So if there's a need to sell the business, we have, advisory on that as well. We can help on that front. But really, all of our business owners kind of go through that, like we said, life cycle earlier, where once they have that liquidity event, usually that's where everyone starts calling them, right? And saying, hey, now these guys are on our radar. But really those clients were on our radar for many, many years before that. And we already have that relationship with them. So being, again, product agnostic, where we don't care if they are a small business or if they're someone who sold a business who's going to go now maybe buy, multifamily properties in San Diego or wherever. We're fine with that as well. And we're still a great source to be able to help them. So the relationship remains, even though their situation will change. And pretty much all these clients, their situation changes, but we don't change. We're always with them for life, effectively.
And talk about commercial real estate, the difference between owner occupied. You always hear that, and people will call me, they looked something up on ChatGPT, and they'll start telling me what can happen and not happen. And walk us through at Citizens, what is the difference between owner occupied and investor? Yeah,
kind of like you said, a lot of the banks have different groups that facilitate, owner occupied or investor or SBA, and these different options that are out there that are offered by all the banks. Different people do different loan types. So what you find is the client might be talking to can only do loan A, B, or C. Yeah. They can't do all three. So if they can only offer B, they're trying to make B work for themselves instead of saying as the client, I can do all of those, which we can do all of them for you. Here's the pros and cons of each. And then we just figure out what makes sense. So I think it's a little more, for us, we can give, I think, better advice because we're not presenting a product at all. We're just saying, here's advice on how this can get done. And we have clients who do any and all of those options. So, if someone is going to be, let's say, of course, in SBA, you have to be in 51% of the building. Everyone knows that there's no flexibility. But let's say you're a business and you're in, some smaller than 50% of the building and your business cash flows the deal. We can still lend to you, as a regular conventional loan on owner occupied that way. So we look at it a little more holistically. We look at the guarantor and we come up with I think, reasonable analysis on this is a good deal. We're going to do it. And then we move forward pretty quickly.
Awesome. Well, Roy, is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
No, I mean, it's great to be here and to get a chance to talk to you. I think it's really great to be part of, I think first, our community here in San Diego is a small community. There's a lot of people, but it's still kind of actually a small town. So
yeah, big small town.
And we're really excited. We've got our office in our new office in San Diego High Bluff is opening in a couple weeks. So nice. We're finishing up the tenant improvements on there. It's going to be great. So hopefully we'll have you down there to come check it out.
I love it. Well, Roy, I really appreciate you being here. You probably provide a lot of great information for the people who are watching and listening, and you have a great day.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it.